You're listening to Marion's Natural News from naturalist James Anderson from the Marion County Park District.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our special report. And I know we've called it the Naturalist Report back in April, but I decided to call it the Marion's Natural News. If you followed us back in, back in 2017-18, when I first started the YouTube channel, that was the original name. But I decided that when COVID hit, I had to change the name because as we were adding all these new videos, people were having a hard time finding it. So I had to rebrand the YouTube channel name to the Marion County Park District. And so I kind of gave up the idea about the Marion's Natural News. But, you know, when I kind of started this whole Naturalist Report section, I said, you know, why don't we call it back that, call it the Marion's Natural News again? So again, same idea, same concept. Just again, the name is a little bit different. So I apologize about that. The other thing, I know I said I was roughly going to try to do this usually at the end of each month. I know last month I didn't do it because I was going on vacation. It's just some other things happened, so I wasn't able to get quite around. And I know by the time I probably post this, this will probably be at the beginning of July. And I'm hoping I can do another one at the end of July. So when I'm doing my report, I will be kind of referring to some things back in the month of May. So I will be using my notes quite a bit, so bear with me. And again, you are listening to Marion's Natural News. Let us begin. So, the Ohio Division of Wildlife, they have told us about our turkey spring hunting season, and they said that we took about over 11,872 birds here in the state of Ohio. So a lot of people don't realize turkeys were once a extirpated species, so that means they were kicked out of the state of Ohio, but their species or kind still existed in other parts. But we actually reintroduced them back into Ohio about the late 60s, early 70s. And actually this first turkey season happened into about the late 70s, early 80s, and only in very selected counties. And now you can find wild turkeys in basically all of Ohio. Most of eastern, southeastern Ohio will probably have more of the turkey population, but here in Marion County, we do have a relatively small population. Not a big one, but relatively small. So something new that actually just happened here recently, that the glossy ibis was just discovered back in May 5th. And we like to thank one of our local photographers, Lola Pryor, and actually not terribly far from where I am right now. I am at the Paradise Nature Preserve, which is just outside of Caledonia. And this ibis was probably migrating through, and kind of got a little lost. And because those guys are mainly found in the eastern half of the United States. They go from Florida to Texas to Gulf of Mexico, you know, Carolina. So that kind of gives you a general idea of where this glossy ibis is typically found. But here in Marion County, you know, that's not very common. So it was actually just out in a farm field. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that a bird, you know, several hundred miles away, probably just ended up in Marion County just for a very short bit. So thank you, Lola, for finding that wonderful discovery here in Marion County. So Marion May had their 5K out at Tallgrass Trail. They had over 100 people that registered, and that was a pretty fun event. And we're hoping next year, whether it's Marion May or any other company or agency or and individuals who want to host a 5K can do that at Marion Tallgrass Trail. If just please contact us on our social media accounts, the Facebook page, the Instagram account, and you know, tell what it's for, and we can get you definitely hooked up about doing a 5K out at Tallgrass Trail. Excuse me, kind of a little tongue tie. And something else that happened at the beginning of May, a weird little worm called the hammerhead worm was discovered on May 1st. And if you're not familiar with the hammerhead worm, it is actually a new very exotic, kind of invasive species. As of right now, it is not, at least in my opinion, I haven't heard it, overtaking an entire area like some invasive species do. But what's really interesting about this worm, one of the things, it will produce a mucus. It's kind of a toxic mucus that kind of actually will kill other worms around it. But also too, if people touch it, just depending on the person, some people touch it and just causes a allergic reaction. And obviously if you eat it, it could make you sick. But probably the most interesting thing about this hammerhead worm is, say you cut it in half, guess what? It will grow 2 worms. If you cut it in 4 pieces, guess what? It will grow into 4 worms. And depending on how small the part that you cut up, it may take up to a week or so to grow an entirely new worm. So again, very fascinating. But again, they are causing problems. And a lot of you are thinking, well, oh, it's, our native worms, oh, they're just worms. Well, yeah, but they all serve a purpose. So if you're killing off our native worms, those worms are important because they're helping out our local flora here. They're helping, with aeration, helping with water getting through, nutrients. I mean, our native worms are doing a lot of fascinating things, but then when you got these invasive worms coming in and killing off our native ones, well, that can be harmful. And it can be scary because whatever affects your soil is going to affect your plant life, and whatever is going to affect your plant life could affect your animal life as well. So you might be wondering, what is the best way to get rid of them? As we mentioned, even cutting them can't really do much. But if you put in salt or vinegar or dry them up, or very soapy water, I've heard things like that can kill them. Squashing them a lot, put them in a bag, drying them out. But again, be very cautious if you are going to handle them. I have not heard any reports here in Ohio of people getting very sick from this worm, but there's always a chance. Again, everybody's different, built different, and may have a different kind of allergic reaction. So something else that happened that was pretty special. A new piece of land was bought from the Ohio Division of Wildlife out in southeastern Ohio. This was once a AEP land, and they acquired over about 31,000 acres in the Appalachian Hills. So this is going to be great for hunting, fishing, trapping, wildlife watching, all sorts of things. So if you ever get a chance, get out of Marion County and explore these new natural areas. Also too, with the big storms that we just had here recently, it knocked down a lot of our trees. Dan Sheridan, which is our park board president, he informed us that there was probably at least 100 trees that were knocked down on the Marion Tallgrass Trail. And you're saying, well, that is a lot, and why? Well, we believe that the straight line winds was a big factor, but we have to think about these trees are not very rooted deeply. They're not anchored in as deep as other trees are, because think about it, where the Tallgrass Trail was the old railroad, and that very hard material, those roots can't get down very deep. And because of that, when you got these storms coming through, it's obviously going to be knocking them over. And of course, these straight line winds, they're very powerful, more powerful storms than, what we're used to. And so that is why we had so many. But we love to thank our wonderful volunteers, especially the Scioto Valley Fire District, who started about Augusta Northern Road. It ended at the Harding County line. They helped to clear trees, debris, things like that. And kind of talking about that, if you are on the Marion Tallgrass Trail and you see that a tree has fallen, contact us on our social media accounts, the Facebook or the Instagram account. That's the fastest approach. Now, you can't call our office phone number, but I will map the social media route. If you do it that way, we usually can get somebody out within the next day or two or more, because we have to remember we're only based on volunteers, and we're very appreciative of all of our volunteers. So if you like to volunteer, always let us know. We're always looking for people, and not just trash clean, tree cleanup. We do also, do like people to do trash cleanup, or, help out with some of our natural interpretation programs. So the list can go on and on and on. So if you're ever interested in volunteering with the Marion County Park District, please shoot us a message, and I definitely can get you hooked up with us. And our last news, we hired an intern, a summer intern. Jonah Bottle is our new intern for this year, and he is wonderful to have. If you kind of remember last summer when we announced that somebody released chickens out at the Marion Tallgrass Trail, and we announced, hey, does anybody want these chickens? And Jonah volunteered and said, you know what, I'll take them off your hands. And that is how our relationship began. And so Jonah has done about 3 programs for the month of June, but here in July, we got a lot of fun stuff. So we're really excited to have Jonah on board, and we'll probably lose him probably about early to mid-August, because that is when his term is up. So yes, and speaking of programs, make sure to be checking out our nature programs. We got stuff for young kids, we got stuff for older kids, we got stuff for adults and seniors. Our Kiddos at the Park outdoor program has been very successful for the last few weeks. As you remember, that it was more geared for preschool, kindergarten age students, but we have expanded it to 1st to 3rd grade age students. And we've had a lot of great feedback. And please, again, make sure to register your child. We announce our weekly registration on Sundays at 1:00 p.m. and to say, I have a child. It's either in the 1st to 3rd grade age or the preschool to kindergarten age, and the program is for free. And please, an adult must be present, whether it's you who's watching this right now, a guardian, a babysitter, whoever. But again, an adult must be present at all times at this program. So, but again, we're really excited. Now, we do want to mention that actually next week will be the Marion County Fair. We will not be having Kiddos at the Park outdoor program next week, because we'll be there, and come see us. We should be out by the grandstands. If not, we will definitely upload and let you know where we may be. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Marion's Natural News Report. Again, I apologize for looking at my notes a lot, so I needed a little more time to practice, but hopefully over time I'll get maybe a little bit better at this. So, all right, well, have fun, be safe, but most of all, go out and explore your Marion County parks. I'm Naturalist James Anderson from the Marion County Park District, and you're watching Marion's Natural News.